When I served in the Air Force, in the United States Air Force, I was assigned to Carswell Air Force Base here in Fort Worth, Texas. And I was finishing off my master's degree, and I thought, I don't think I want to stay on active duty. And I decided to separate from the military, but I wanted to keep my military service. And I thought, well, I can do that in the reserve and also work in the public sector. And so I interviewed for a position in Dallas. I thought this would be a good opportunity to take and use some of the things that I've done in the military, as well as some of the things that I did as far as my education. They had 2 positions available. One was the personnel department, and one was in the parks and recreation department. And so that's when I thought, parks and recreation, what is that really about? And so I did research, I checked it out, and I ended up getting the position in the park and recreation department. But I was working in administrative services, human resources, payroll, administrative functions, such as working with park boards and making sure that their affairs were in order, and working in the financial services area. So that's sort of what started the park and recreation journey. And after I did that for about 3 years, I was promoted to the assistant director over administration, finance, and business services in the Parks and Rec system. I did that for maybe about 10 years or so. And then the director at that time asked me if I would be interested in managing one of the regional operations. So I had what they call the East region of the city. And I had all of management for parks and recreation facilities and programs for all of the East region. And the East region, if you think about the size of a community of serving about 650,000 people, that was the East region. And I knew if I would ever become a director of a parks and recreation system, that I needed that field operations experience and that direct recreation program experience. And so I had an opportunity to do that. And I mean, it was such a blessing to be able to serve people from the very, very wealthy people who lived around White Rock Lake, as well as people who were very, very disadvantaged and disinvested in. And so I had an opportunity to serve all spectrums of the community. And I did that for almost probably 10 years. And then the city manager came, and she asked me if I would help her out. And she asked me at least to do at least 3 or 4 different things. And so I had a number of different experiences that I can go through, but a lot of it was about administration, management, working through political situations, and that type of thing. But after I served in the city of Dallas for nearly 27 years, I left Dallas and I went to become the director of the East Baton Rouge Parks and Recreation System, known as BREC around the country. And so I moved over, and I tell you, it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because I was able to serve over 450,000 people in that community. One of the best things about Baton Rouge Park System is that they don't have a lot to compete with there. Here in Dallas, you have all kinds of amenities and things that are going on in a community this size, but in Baton Rouge, Parks and Recreation is it. And they really value the park system. They support the parks. It's one where you have kids they have daycare programs all the way up to senior programs. And I attended a childhood coalition meeting, and they were talking about the children being obese. And they had children as young as 6 years old being diagnosed with hypertension and diabetes. And I thought, we have the solution to this. We can change lives if people knew what we were doing and if people took advantage of the opportunities. And so to me, that drove me every day to get up and go get it done, because I knew we were the community solution to that problem. I was driving home one evening, and I was coming into the subdivision where I lived. And there was this gentleman, he lived 2 doors down from me, and he was out walking his dog, and he stopped me, and he started to tell me about what he had been doing. He had been involved in a Tai Chi program at Independence Park Rec Center. And he told me, he said, I flew helicopters for the Army for almost 30 years, and I couldn't move. He said, because of the program that you are offering, I'm able to get up, I'm able to walk, and I'm able to get things done without taking meds. That's how important this work is. As I think about it, I hope people will eventually understand the critical value of this profession and be able to attract thought leaders, people who own what we do, where they value what we do and what we bring. We need to know that we are the solution to many of the health issues as well as climate issues. And so when we talk about the future, we really do need to know what's going on around us and develop strategies to make sure that we can manage it. I don't know if we can stop things that are happening, but we can manage it. I also think about some of the things we can do in a community where there are problems with racial issues and problems with police problems. We have the solution. We can provide so many different programs in places where I think about when I was in Baton Rouge as an example. We had a situation where we had police were shot by this individual who came to town from another community. And so what I talked to the staff about is, let's look at ways so we can help bridge the community with the police so that they know that the police are here to really truly protect and to serve. And so we started programs such as, biking with the badge. We started programs with our mounted unit, their mounted unit. We were teaching kids how to ride and take care of horses at our horse park. So there were just ways to creatively do the work. And that's what I hope we do in the future, is get truly outside of our frame of mind and understand that what we do, you don't have to do it the same way. You can find creative solutions by just getting outside, talking to different people, finding out what people really need and want, and then not being afraid to bring those services to the community.